Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jonathan Colville. I'm the UK representative for Celsius Resources. Celsius Resources has a portfolio of copper, gold, porphyry deposits, which were previously owned by Freeport, and before that, Phelps Dodge. They sit on what is commonly referred to as the Rim of Fire in the northern Philippines. The team has been working on this for a number of years. We're listed on the Australian Stock Exchange and are due to be listed on the London Exchange early next year. We're publishing a very thorough scoping study later this week, or early next, on the MCB Project. We have a contained resource of 1.5 million tonnes of copper, and 1.5 million ounces of gold, with the value in the ground of $15 billion. So we describe ourselves as a development company with further exploration potential. We currently have a market capitalization. Currently have a market capitalization of $30 million and $5 million of cash. These assets were injected into Celsius when it was a cash shell in return for 200 million shares vesting on milestones. This was November last year. The publication of the scoping study will be for the first time the opportunity for the market to actually understand not only the quantum, but also the financial opportunity which we represent. Our board and management includes Martin Buckingham, our chairman. He guided Atlas Mining's reopening of the Toledo copper mine in Cebu in the Philippines and raised $300 million to build it in 2008. Peter Hume, on the next slide, is the country manager, and he has overseen the Tampakan project in Mindanao for the last 10 years. Blair Sargent is our executive director in Australia. The MCB project is located in northern Luzon, where, as you can see from this slide, many of the best copper and gold deposits in the Philippines are located, with companies like Felix, Benguet, and Lepante. MCB was previously owned, as I've mentioned earlier, by Freeport, who spent $14 million drilling it out. At that time, the Philippines was rather less mining friendly than it is today, and Freeport put the bar very high as to what size of projects they wanted to develop. The resource at MCB is 313 million tonnes at 0.48% copper and 0.15 grams gold. However, we are concentrating on the high-grade core of this deposit, which is 93 million tonnes at 0.8% copper and 0.28 grams gold. In the mine plan proposed in the scoping study published next week, we are in fact concentrating only on 16% of the current ore body, and the average grade moves above 1% and 0.45 grams gold. The best copper deposits in the world are porphyry deposits, and they account for 80% of the world's copper production. The two things that make this deposit special, firstly, that it starts very close to surface, and secondly, it's very high grade by porphyry standards, and therefore offers a very good return on investment. Some of the intersections are amazing. For example, hole 18, 630 meters of 0.81% copper and 0.32 grams gold, including 177 meters at 1.98% copper and 0.95 grams gold. These are some extension drillings that we did earlier this year in order to get new core for metallurgical samples. And the metallurgical samples recovered recoveries of 94% in terms of copper and 79% in terms of gold. Timelines. As I indicated earlier, the scoping study will be released later this week. Next year, we should be able to complete the environmental impact study, the mine permitting, and the DFS. This should enable us to line up offtake and debt funding for the project in the second half of next year. We also have a few other projects. We basically took a portfolio from Freeport. The Sagai project, which is in Negros, which is a copper porphyry, much easier topography. There are existing 31 holes. We've still got the core and all the logs and everything else, and are indeed very encouraging. And some of the results are on this slide. The current 4,000-meter drill program is planned for 3 broad priority project targets, and upon completion should facilitate the declaration of a maiden JORC resource. We also have the Apuyo project, which we inherited when we bought into Celsius from the previous management. It contains 259,000 tons of cobalt and 970,000 tons of copper. We've reworked the mining method and reduced the stripping ratio considerably. The metallurgy is somewhat complex with zinc, copper, and cobalt, but we have a number of consultants who think that they have the answers to the problem. Being a significant non-conflict source of cobalt, it is attracting quite a bit of interest. However, our main focus remains the MCB project in the Philippines. And I think that I've been a stockbroker for the last 30 years, and one of my better deals, or possibly even the best deal, was to finance First Quantum's purchase of Phelps Dodge's assets in Zambia, which was similar to the Philippines, not very popular in terms of the mining destination at the time. First Quantum is now valued at $10 billion, and 40% of their production still comes from the Kansanshi mine, which was developed. And it was basically done on a very similar basis. Phelps Dodge at the time said that it's not big enough for them, since they wanted to do 200,000 tons of copper a year. And First Quantum said, well, it's big enough for us. And actually, if we just look at the high grade, which is what we're doing here, we can make a substantial business out of it. And they went into Congo after that and got slightly burnt, unfortunately. But it's probably still been the best investment they've ever made. And I think that this suite of assets will be mined. It's certainly got, well, it's definitely one of the best porphyry systems in the Philippines, and probably in the top 10 in the world. And I'm sure that people will be mining it for the next 50 or 100 years. Thank you very much.